spirit is rising, she's rising, she's rising. The spirit is rising, it's rising, it's rising. The spirit is rising, they're rising, they're rising. The spirit is rising, we're rising, we're rising.
Hi, Coven.
Hi,
Risa, do you want
Amy.
to start by telling our Coven about the exciting thing we did this week?
Oh, sure. We got to go and talk about our project at McGill University in the sociology department in a class on deviance, which felt great and appropriate. Social deviants that we are. Um, yeah, it was rad. The teacher is an incredible woman who I met out here in the woods. And she invited us. She turns out really likes what we do and invited us to come talk to her students during their segment on witches. The entire class is kind of about the framing of deviance, like and the uses of how some people and activities are framed as deviants and who benefits from when people are othered in that way. Amy and I did a bunch to prepare and then just talked excitedly for an hour. And it was so,
Yes, I would say I
rad.
ignored about 75% of my notes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was rad. It was fun to put together. I made like a 91 page presentation just of images from the different artists and thinkers and people that we featured on the podcast before. So that was incredible. We had a dinner with incredible witch friends. We treated ourselves and stayed in a place with a hot pool. Yeah, it was exhausting and overwhelming to have so much social interaction and so much
Yes.
thinking and talking. But it felt really good to leave our snowy holes and go and walk in the streets and see people.
Yes, it was like a combination of like luxury and humping around the city for 3 days with a heavy bag
Yeah.
on my shoulders. So I am completely out of spoons. I am spoonless today. And so I want to talk about it. And I want to talk about it with all of you who are in a similar situation. If you don't know what I mean when I say out of spoons, it's a term that was invented by, oh, now I'm forgetting her name, Christine something. And I always wondered, like, why spoons? It's a metaphor for energy, basically, where you have a certain amount of spoons, again, a certain amount of energy, and you probably, if you have a chronic illness, chronic pain, anything like that, it's going to take you more spoons to complete a task than it might for, a quote unquote normal, able-bodied, well person. And I did read that she came up with it while she was like having a dinner with her friends. So it might have just been like, what's on the table that I can use as a metaphor? Okay, here's a spoon. So now we're spoonies. And so I'm exhausted, and sometimes I want to cry about it. And sometimes I will, moan and groan about who I might have been if I didn't have this chronic illness. But sometimes I just want to laugh about it. And so that's what I brought for the coven today. There is a song by Evie Oddly and Willow Pill. They're two drag artists who both actually won Drag Race, now that I think about it, not just appeared on the show, but won Drag Race. Evie Oddly has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and Willow Pill has cystinosis. And they made a song together called Sick Bitch. And of course, when somebody like when something is sick, it's like, yeah, I'm sick, I'm not well. Or it's like, that's sick, that's dope, that's fire, that's awesome, that's rad, that's cool. So they've sort of inverted and combined these things to make this song that I think is for all of us in the chronic illness community. And I hope that whether you have chronic illness or not, that you'll take a listen to this song and sort of hear that perspective or relate to that perspective. I'm gonna read y'all some lyrics. Again, sometimes we just have to laugh about our position, and this is a great way to enter that frame of mind. The chorus goes, "I'm a sick bitch, figuratively, but also very literally. I'm an ill bitch. I got drugs. If we talkin' self-care, bitches know I'm the plug. Take your pills when you eat. Stay hydrated, rest, repeat. Take your pills, get some sleep. You're a sick bitch if you're sick like me." And then later in one of Evie's verses, she says, "My bones creak, my knees stay weak. No spoons, nowhere, I'm fatigued. If you ask me how I'm feeling, I hope you got some time, hun, because I got 99 problems and my body's all but one." So again, that's like a Jay-Z reference. Like, I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. And this is, I got 99 problems and my body is 98 of those problems. So if you're feeling like me and you're a sick bitch today, stay hydrated, rest, take your medication, get some sleep. It's gonna be okay. And then if you have no spoons at all, I brought the Spoons also, who were like a new wave Canadian band from the 80s. I think, they named their band before like Spoon Theory was even a thing, but I find it to be sort of a hilarious, I brought some spoons. The song is called Nova Heart. And if you were around in Canada in the 80s, you've probably heard this song. It was kind of like a a Canadian content hit in Canada, like a certain percentage of the music that gets played or whatever's happening in Canadian media has to be by Canadian artists or producers. So we get a lot of media that only Canadians know about because it only gets heavy rotation in Canada. Anyway, this song is called Nova Heart, and the lyrics begin, "Architects of the world, I walk your streets and I live in your towns. You served us well until now, but soon we'll be on our own. And I'll sleep in your Nova Heart as things come apart. I'll hide in your Nova Heart, at ease with the thought that this Nova won't burn out." So again, when they called themselves the Spoons, they weren't talking about chronic illness, but I feel like these lyrics to one of their biggest hits really speak to that. Like, I'm gonna sleep and I'm not gonna burn out. Like, together collectively, again, whether you have chronic illness or not, like burnout is very, very, very real under late stage capitalism, where if you're not grinding and slaving, you can't feed your children. Like, yeah, that's going to bring burnout. So again, I just sort of want to conclude my prescriptive segment with an actual prescription of like, take your medication. Sleep in your new heart. We have the architects that built our world, and for many of us, those architects did not build this world with us in mind. And so we make a new heart, and sometimes we can hide inside that new heart, and sometimes we can sleep. And when we sleep, we know we won't burn out. So that's my prescription for this week. If you're a sick bitch, if you're an ill bitch, um, think about the Spoons and a new heart, a Nova Heart, and know that you don't have to burn out. You don't have to. Even when things come apart, you can rest in your Nova Heart. So that's where I'm coming from today.
That's beautiful. I loved it. I'm also exhausted. I feel crumpled, but I had so much fun and I'm so thankful. Like, I got to sleep over at a friend's house who has two little 8-year-old twin girls. And at one point, I'm like hanging with the girls and they have their radio on. They're like big CBC radio listeners and they hear a new Beyonce song. And one of the little 8-year-olds turns like stares at me. New Beyonce song? I was like, have you heard 16 Carriages? She's like, no, I've only heard Texas Hold'em. I'm like, okay.
A new Beyonce song is like a big deal for the whole world. And that's not me being sarcastic. That's legit.
That's realistic. And then we put on 16 carriages. And I really was like, I just felt like I was like the terrible aunt who shows up like their dad's like trying to get the girls to come to the table for this beautiful dinner he's prepared. I'm like, just sec, just like cranking the volume to 50 and doing a full dance routine with these two little kids. But here's part of my prescription. If you can dance with little kids and try to imitate what their bodies do, like try to just like see how free they are in their bodies, and then try to find something free in your body and watch how that liberates them. Like we really are mirrors. And with kids, there's a way in which like dancing with those kids let me do things physically that I don't know, it was like shaking off a shell or unmasking in a way. It was so fun. So fucking fun. And we were voguing, we were spinning on the floor. If you don't have other people's children accessible to have a dance party with, still blast some Beyonce and like feel her in your spine and in your body. I mean, there's so much power. Play all of Renaissance Scream It in the car if you're like me and some coven mates talking about the correct way to listen to Beyonce. Yeah, 16 Carriages was really a part of my week this week. And it's a song, I guess she's talking about her life. It's an autobiographical song. It's like leaving home at a young age to work, working in music, leaving when her dad was cheating on her mom, being on the road too much now, missing her kids. Like it's just sort of about the hard part of the work. And it's got real big drops in it that you can booty drop down to and just like feel it. Do it in a private place. Just know that music, she puts music into the world to infiltrate and electrify. She's putting music into the country world to reclaim the Black roots of country music. She's not a perfect person. You don't have to get into political conversations with other people about whether Beyonce is a class ally. She's probably not, but you could just leave that aside and let your body be moved by her if you want. It's okay. And that goes into my second bit, but I feel like you're going to say something. It's okay. Do it.
I just want to say that I read some, I don't even know what to call this person, I guess, loosely, I'll say, who like accused Beyonce of cultural appropriation because she had made this country album. And it's so very clearly someone who doesn't actually care about cultural appropriation. They just want to play gotcha on like a successful Black woman. So I would encourage you all also like to examine the roots of country music. It has been sort of co-opted by like that, right-wing um uh, rebel flag, not in my town. What was that horrible song? Like,
I don't
don't
want to
come
talk
around
about it.
here if
Yeah.
you're different. Yeah, like it's been co-opted by that, but it definitely was not always that. So I'm very glad that Beyonce is sort of reframing and reclaiming this like notion of the Black people in country music.
Me too. Tracy Chapman and Beyonce all over those country music charts. Make them eat it. I love it. Um, but I was there because my partner and I have like a very strict equality rule, like very, very strict. We alternate nights every single night for who does bath, who does bedtime, for who goes in at night if she cries. We alternate dinners. We alternate taking a break away. Like he just went away for 3 nights. I just went away for 3 nights. We do it monthly. Like it's so crucial to our mental health, and it's so hard to leave the kid, but it makes us have conversations about like where we go to get resourced and about how I have to, even though it's like physically painful for me to leave her, and I know it's painful for her too, that there are things I care about in the world, that there's like that I care about my work and I care about my community, and I have to go get resourced and I have to do those things so that I come back richer and stronger, and she has to too. And it's like a rough conversation, but it makes me feel like really thankful that I have a partner who insists upon our fairness. And so the other part of the prescription, and I know this song is like super TikTok viral, but fucking dance it out. Labor by Paris Paloma. Just like let yourself feel the anger of this song. And shout out to Hope in our coven who shared it in our private coven space a little while ago. I looked back. Hope is the second person after you and I. She's the first person to join our website when we launched our new platform. So thank you so much to coven mates who have been these like flames as we try to build this circle of flames and keep each other electrified and resourced and full of kindness and wells of what we can make and how we can heal. Too much labor. There's so much anger in that song, and you are allowed to be angry if your labor is being taken advantage of. You're allowed to be angry if things aren't fair in whatever dynamic you're in. I want you to at least give yourself the 3 minutes of a pop song to know that you're allowed to be really fucking angry about that. So to like get in touch with that anger because it disappears under numbness. In all different kinds of abuse, abuse can be so subtle and so controlling and can take advantage of where we've been traumatized. It can be so subtle and insidious that we think we're in a loving relationship, even when we're being taken advantage of. So I want to,
Insidious is the word for
right?
sure. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So the prescription is also to like, if even if you're in like a loving and equal relationship, you can use this song to rage out at capitalism because it also makes us do too much fucking labor. We are so isolated that trying to raise a family as three people out in the woods is just ridiculous. Trying to do what we need to do to survive without communities of support because everyone is struggling is unfair and unjust, and we can have more just systems, but we got to let ourselves feel our anger about it, I think, to be able to be in touch with that like hot cord of our rage that can keep us going. So she also, that song is, it also addresses domestic violence. It talks about how dangerous leaving can be. Like all of those things are true. And I hope that if any of it resonates with you, that you feel it's with you and not feel bullied or pushed into doing anything you don't fucking want to do, but just know that you're allowed to be angry and you are very much loved. And what you have to offer the world is more than your labor for the good times of another person.
Yeah, there was this great moment at the beginning of the class that we were guest lecturing in where the prof showed, some old time like Malus Maleficarum era, illustrations of witches and asked the class like what are these witches doing that is like deviant or that makes them witches? And one person raised their hand and pointed out, not using these words, but like that one of them was like rim jobbing a demon, and and someone else put up their hand and they were like, okay, that they're reading a book, they're doing this. But the one thing that the class didn't grab onto that the prof pointed out was that they were gathering in community. And this is such a huge thing for witches and non-witches. One of our coven mates specifically reached out to mention that our message last week of like, you're not alone in this, whatever it is, you're not alone in it, was super heartening for her to be reminded of, not to hear for the first time, but just to be constantly reminded that, if you are being exploited, if you are chronically ill, if you are fucking raging at late stage capitalism, if you are sad and scared at the global events happening all around us, literally all around us. Embryos are babies now, according to Tennessee. Like the fuck. Um, that you are not alone. You're not alone in your exhaustion. You're not alone in your anger. But you're also like not alone in your joy that you feel when you are part of a community. And it was so cool to see this professor point out that what these witches that were doing that was really the scariest thing for the status quo was to gather together. You know, the scariest, witchiest thing that we can do to combat the status quo is to be together and to talk to each other and to sympathize with each other and just to gather in whatever form that that might take, and maybe dance with children or dance on our own or dance in any way or rest and sleep. All of these things are all a part of that community of recognizing that we are not alone. And
Yeah.
I guess I want to repeat, I'm a sick bitch.
Yeah, bless and fucking be to
Literally,
that.
but
Yeah.
also figuratively.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, bless the fucking be to that, man. Also, I'm gonna just tag on. Sometimes it's about gathering, sometimes it's about building a bed fort and singing along with my other favorite Willow Pill track. I hate people.
It happens. And again, that's okay.
That's
I
okay
get
too.
it. I get it. That's okay too.
Bless the fucking be, guys. Love you.
Blessed fucking be.
World's drifting through me, and my life is all to me. I love myself and all me. I love myself and all of me, all of me. I love myself and all of me. Love myself and all of me. I love myself and all of me.
If you want to support the Missing Witches Project, join the coven. Find out how at missingwitches.com.